Alex is over there welding stuff. We're double dutying this here International. Try to get this done. Cram session. So I'm looking to mount pedal, brake booster. Eventually, that brake pedal over there, boosters over there. I already got some holes drilled up in here, so we're gonna have to make a big hole in the center there. That's pretty close to where we want it, so that the column fits and the pedals are in a good place. So we'll continue on with this. So got this in. Didn't get tons of videoing. Just got into the work mode, and there's a lot going on. So there's the brake booster all mounted in. This is the rear ABS. It's pretty tight in here. May end up bending the lines a little bit and bringing it up over here. Can't really fit it too well in here. Still have the fuse box right there that's got to fit in here somewhere. The wire lines, there's a boot right there for the firewall. Maybe it'll come in right here, we'll see. In here, it was a lot of cutting, trimming on this piece here. That piece was quite wide. That came off the S10. You can see all the cut marks on it. But the brake pedal's in. It's got a nice height. It's pretty well lined up with the front of the seat. You can see right there, and where the steering wheel's gonna go. The pedal will be kind of like that. So that's lined up pretty well too. Plenty of distance for the brake pedal to go to the floor, and eventually the steering will go right in the same hole it was in, or pretty darn close to it. You can actually see over there the boot for the S10 shaft. So steering column should fit right in there. I'm going to try to bodge the international one to the S10 one. We'll have to see how that goes.
Today's August 20th, 11 days to the show. Here's what I got done. Pops and I started planning out how we're going to mount the ABS. It's probably going to go somewhere in here like this on this bracket. It's the ABS bracket. I'm going to run an arm all the way across there. Some riv nuts so that can come back out. We hung the driver's side door. I fixed the outside door handle because it wasn't working before. It's working now. I had to reshape a bunch of old rusted metal in here to get the door to close properly, which it does now. Obviously it doesn't line up perfect because it needs a lot more work to line up perfect. Pops and I completely stripped the S10 rear axle. All the parts are over there, so we can go ahead and roll it under the van once we get this other axle out. We also put on the 2-inch wheel spacers on each side to get the proper width as well. And I started cutting down the steering column from the 52, and I have the steering column from the S10 right here. Probably going to take all this shift linkage and such, make measurements, make a new bracket for it, because you can see there's 3 star bolts or star screws, whatever you want to call them. 1, 2, 3. And I can take it off right there, pull it out. I can make a template on the back, so I can make a steel piece for those to screw to, and I can weld it directly to the steering column for the 52, because that steering wheel with the center, that is 1,000% cooler than that ugly steering wheel over there. It's just the geometry of getting this electronic piece for the shifter correct on this steering column with the whole steering selector. Gotta get the geometry right so everything works as it should, pretty much, because I think this helps control what shows up on the dash as to what gear you're in and whatnot with the electronic dash. So got to do a bunch of measuring, bunch of cutting, bunch of fabricating on those to make those two work, but it will work. That was my Tuesday. 11 days left. Pops is probably taking Thursday off, so we can hammer out some of this stuff, probably the rear axle and the drive shaft and brake lines and fuel lines and all those fun things that he knows a lot more than I do. I'm the fabricator kind of guy. He's the whole mechanical kind of guy. Then we got to run some wiring, make sure the brakes actually work, and try to start the thing with the engine in the old truck. So that should be fun. Stick around. I got more to come.
we made this nice bracket that was bolted on the firewall there, but then we realized there's a plug here, and there's a plug here, and there's a plug here. So I'm gonna have to trim some of this out. We also got that other rib nut over there, one on each side, which makes life way easier. Yeah, so I'll trim that up and get it back on there. If it needs some more rigidity, and we can put a piece of metal across the top. I don't know, it should be alright. Alright, there we go. Now we got space there. There's space in the back that you can't really see. It's still quite rigid. So now we can hook up the brake lines. Haven't got this one in yet. That's due in today. But the other two, if we go to the two front wheels, we can hook up. And the cabling, the wiring, we're gonna have to extend it to reach over there. It's just made for that side. We're over here now, so we have to extend those.
Well, I didn't have time yesterday to make a video because my pops and I were working on this thing all day yesterday, but yesterday would have been the 22nd of August, 8 days before this show. Let me show you what we got done yesterday. Some small stuff, welded up holes in the roof. That's got the old axle pulled out. Got some perches fabbed up for the S10 axle. And got the S10 axle in. Got the drive shaft in place so we can start looking at pinion angles. So I can finish those axle perches and finish this transmission mount here. Got an ABS mount bracket all fabbed up. Solid, not going anywhere. And mounted the ABS. And did the majority of the bodging of the steering column, which has the original S10 shifter in it, which works fine, perfectly. I'm gonna put the directional selector and hazard back on this thing, and put the ignition back on it. And there's where the steering wheel sets. The original International steering wheel, we got it to somewhat work with the S10 steering column. And I need to make it work with the rag joint down there. Might not seem like much looking at it, but it took a while. Here's what I got left. Exhaust, transmission support, floor pan, brakes, wiring, put the nose back on, finish the steering, put the new shift cable in when it gets here, weld the axle perches, lengthen the drive shaft, weld whatever holes are left in the roof, figure out how the rad is going to mount, and get a coolant reservoir and the good old battery box. I gotta weld up the battery. Now I got all day today, all day tomorrow. Technically all day Sunday. And then I'm back to work Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I got all day Friday off. And then that Saturday is the show. So, I gotta get to work. I'll see you probably 8 hours or so when I do today's video. Well, Sunday. I'm going to do a nighttime update because I can. So it's Sunday, so I got a little bit less done today than normal. I tied up all the wiring. I ran grounds over there and over there. I installed the ignition. I installed the turn signal selector. I installed the gear shift block. I mounted the ECU. I ran a body ground strap over here to the body of the truck. I sealed this wiring harness with butyl. Pop and I threw the fuel tank in the back for now and started laying out some wiring for the rear tail lights. That's the main harness there. I gotta add a little bit of length so we can reach to these tail lights out here. We looked at fuel lines because I need to get some rubber line to go between there and the front. And I was just up under here to the rear axle, trying to weld the axle perches, but I realized we're a 1/4 inch off center side to side. So I need to come this way 1/8 of an inch to center the axle. Also tied up some of the wiring harness out of the way of like headers and such and stuff like that. So I didn't get too much done today because it's Sunday, so had church and then like family time and played a game with the folks at their house and did all that fun stuff. But I came back over here and worked a little bit as much as I could. It's now 8:30. Quiet time is at 9, so I gotta clean up all my tools and pretty much button this up for the night, go take a shower and head to bed and be back at it early in the morning doing some stuff. Oh, we looked at the drive shaft pinion stuff, so I can start messing with the drive shaft too, lengthening it and getting it ready. So yeah, that's a small bit I got done on Sunday. I have Monday through Friday left, so I got 5 days left to go. And that's about 1.5 to 2 hours every day, Monday through Thursday, and then I got all day Friday off again. So, should be fun. Stick with me. Let's see if we make it to the show.
Hey there. So, it's now actually early March. Obviously this work was done quite a while ago, back when it was warm. But things are starting to thaw out, so I was able to get back in here and show what we did to close out this video. We missed videoing some things, so I'm gonna show you what I can anyways. You can see this is the S10 column. We reused all the wiring, the shifter, the key, all that's still in there. All the wiring is just kind of sitting for the time being, but the brake light switch works. The gas pedal, it's in place. That metal bracket right up there is the one I was talking about earlier in the video, and it's hard to tell, but way up in there there's actually a plate up there that was already in place in this International. It needed to be shimmed up a little bit so that the column would be in a decent place. Once that bracket right there was bolted to it, we had to trim a ton off of that. You can also see that is what we welded. We cut off from the International column and welded onto there. Actually, that's not true. That we moved it because it wasn't quite in the right place to use it in here, so we moved it slightly. You can see all that. The firewall from the S10, we welded it onto this firewall. It's probably a little bit more. It needs to be done to it. Some bracing, make it look a little better. We were in a rush to get to that car show that Alex wanted to be in, to be able to have this there for. At the very bottom, okay, let me back up a little bit. Alex wanted to use the actual steering wheel from the International, so interestingly, we're able to pull the steering wheel and the hull shaft out of the original column. We had to make the S10, the bearing that's in there, it's just kind of like aluminum or something. We had to whittle it out a little bit to make it bigger, but it didn't take a whole lot for it to slide right down in there. The bottom is similar. We had to whittle it out a little bit, but we have, as you can see, we have a collar right there that we can adjust. So we can adjust the height slightly up and down. And there's you can't see it, but underneath that plastic piece right there, there's another column so the wheel can't come up. Where it attaches to the steering box itself is an adjustable piece with a U-joint type setup. I think that's pretty much everything in here explained. And you saw the brake, the whole brake bracketry and stuff bolted on earlier. And you'll notice that we had to replace the big brake booster when we took it apart. There was some seals that just kind of fell apart, and it was leaking. We had a huge vacuum leak, so that had to be replaced. You can see the blinkers are still in use, so pretty much all of that stuff that was here for the S10 on the column is going to be reused. I'll probably maybe put some kind of box around that at some point. I don't know. I think the plastics got thrown away. We'll see. Time will tell. Moving on. So in here, you can see we got the brake booster. That was the best place we could put the fuse box for now. We'll see if we find a better place at some point. We have the intake on it. And you can see over there is the ABS box that's bolted to the firewall. You saw all the pictures for that. All works. We put the brake lines in. Kind of hard to see, but they're all new from front to back. Using obviously the S10 front end and rear axle. So all those brakes are there. We got the computer box over there. Make brackets for the battery that have strengthened up. You can see there's been some critters in here. But this thing starts right up easily. This is runs better than Alex's F-150 at the moment, which is interesting. We will have to do something for, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but right now we have the coolant lines to the heater core just kind of close together, run back to each other. So maybe we'll put the international heater core back in this at some point. I don't know, but it's a possibility. We started with the lighting. This has been repaired and bolted back into place. We'll probably have a relatively quick video on how we did that. We will obviously wire the S10 wiring harness to that. Brake lights are already attached and working. So there's enough that you can drive it during the day and there's no issues. All that stuff works. Yeah, that's about it for now. Yeah, I mean, we had to extend the wires, these wires for the ABS, like we mentioned. I think we mentioned. And yeah, that's it for the time being. Warm weather's coming, so hopefully we'll be able to do some work in the next couple months to start back on our projects. We've been kind of hiding away for the winter. Anyways, that's it for today. Hopefully you like these projects, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.